In Chapter 5, we are going to look at task questions and resources. So if we remember, when we talked about task processes, these have to do with the job at hand. So what needs to get done in order to achieve the goal? There are 4 different types of questions that you can use. The first question type is a question of fact. This includes questions seeking objective, testable, verifiable answers about matters of past or present conditions and data. So for example, I can ask you, is the sky blue right now? We can look outside and see if the sky is blue right now. I can ask you what night of the week a certain TV show is on. You can tell me that answer. That's a question of fact. It's objective, it's verifiable. It is not subjective. The second type is question of value. These are discussion questions that weigh the worth, how ethical something is, and the relative importance of a concept, act, or policy. Okay, so how important is something would be an example of a question of value. The next type of question is question of policy, and these are discussion questions seeking answers to what positions or actions should be adopted. Now, with questions of policy, there are 2 key terms that you can look for. They are should or ought to. So for example, what should we do about a certain situation would be a question of policy. And finally, there are questions of prediction, and these are questions that are seeking to forecast future conditions of facts, values, and or policies. So that means, for example, if we do this, what do we think will occur? Would be a question of prediction. So the 4 types of questions are question of fact, question of value, question of policy, and question of prediction. When you are working on a team and you have a large project due or any kind of deliverable, it's important to make a team plan. And in the team plan, this is where you divide the work and make specific assignments to each member. You establish the guidelines and set deadlines. This means that you always have to have an end date for each of your instrumental objectives. It's also important that when you create a plan, that you leave room for the unexpected. So in this step, you have to create the time available for the research, the planning, and make a list of the complete assignments and who is doing what by when. Now I want to discuss the difference between a primary source and a secondary source. A primary source is a direct original source of information. And when you are able to get a primary source, they are what you should use because you know the words were actually the ones spoken or written by that actual source. A secondary source, on the other hand, is at least one step removed from the original. Remember that whenever information is abstracted, summarized, or presented in a secondary publication, its message may be changed or even misrepresented. That concludes the lecture for Chapter 5. Let me know if you have any questions.